Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Guranga, Jai Nishringadev. So we got a new microphone today, which is exciting. So the sound's going to be a lot better. Tried some different positions. I've got the microphone right in front of the mridanga in the middle, so it seems to catch the top and the bottom end nicely. I've tried it over here in different places, but hopefully this will make it better for everyone. So we've got two fingering Kirtan mantras to look at today, both very different from one another, both definitely more complex. And we've got all this stuff coming up here for some reason. One is using quite a different variety of, let me see here, bowl jatis, switching between threes and twos and different patterns of those, and it's very interesting, and we'll kind of dissect that, how you can switch the positions of them in order to make full mantras. And then the second one is kind of doing a little bit of an interesting kind of offbeat thing with days and naks, and then ending with a little bit of a rela at the end as well. So two very beautiful mantras here, very different from what you normally hear. And we'll talk a little bit of philosophy as well, a few things I want to discuss today too. So yeah, let's get started. So here we have Da space, Dhini space. So the whole thing is written with 4 in each section here. I'm trying to write the mantras better here, vet them out more before I give a class as well. It's very complicated sometimes. Sometimes I sit down and something doesn't write, like last class, and I got a little bit confused. The most confusing thing is that time signatures don't normally, well, not so much time signatures, but you can write in musical notation quarter notes, 8th notes, 16th notes, and your 4/4 measures of time. So you can see how it's all working, and you don't need to have the same amount of spaces necessarily in each measure of time. Like you'll have a quarter note, and then you can have a dotted quarter note, and the dot represents an extra, space and measure in time. So it gets confusing sometimes here when you're switching between single speed, double speed, and trying to figure out these mantras. It's kind of arduous sometimes having to write out so many spaces when you have, when you're showing like 8 different bowls in one measure of time, and then you have 8 and 8 and 8 and 8, but then it switches to 4 or less, and you have to show all the spaces for different things. So no one has ever written mantras out in this way from what I've seen before, aside from Bhima Karma writing a few out when he was teaching me. But it's never been presented in this way, and so sometimes I get a little bit confused with that. But I've decided now to just, if I'm going to write, if there's any double speed, then I'm just going to write the whole mantra out in double speed so that you can see, even if it's in single speed, the spaces. Or if there's a whole section of single speed, I'll just leave that and notate it single speed, and then we'll have double speed with all the different spaces in there. So like in some of these mantras coming up, we have 8 hits for most parts, but then we just have a ja and a cut. So then we're going to have ja space, cut space, space to show all the different measures of time there. So here we're only writing the mantras out in 4. So each measure of time we have 4 hits, 4 bowls, Da space, Dhini space. So we have Dha-dhini, Dha-dhini, Da space, Dhini for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then space, Dha-dhini, 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 Dhini, Dha-dhini. So what's happening here? So Dha-dhini is 3, right? Bowl jati of Tisra. Dha-dhini. Then we have Dhini. This is very common, which is just a bowl jati of 2, Dhini. And then another Tisra, Dha-dhini, 3 again. So we have 3, 2, and 3 to make 8. So let's just look at that. Dha-dhini, 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 Dha-dhini. Space. Da jati of 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Wait. 1, 2, 3. How do I 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I want to try to really show these mantras a bit better now, so if people actually want to try to learn them, they can. Try to do as nice of a job as I can here. Dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini. So we've got that part. Then we have dhini, dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini. So now we've switched it. So this is how you can learn. You can put these bowl patterns in any different way that you like, as long as it makes up 8. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Right? Dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini. Now if you're ending on the ni, dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini, then you're going to start back to a da. Dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini. I'm just going to take a pause here because I'm quite warm and I just need to adjust here. Okay, that should be better. Got some shorts on now. It's still warm here in end of September. So we've got da-dhini, dhini, da-dhini. Now we have dhini, da-dhini, da-dhini. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then you're always going to come back for flow to a ta, to a da or a ta on your next hit. So always consider that for mantras as well, as they should always be flowing into the next hit. Dhini, da, dhini, da, dhini. Next part. Dha-dhini, dhini, dhadhini. So now this is the same as the first part again. Dha-dhini, dhini, da. So we have 2 different styles of bold jatis there that I'll write out for you. So dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini. Slower. Dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini. So that's the guru. Now we have the lagu, closed hits on the top. Ta-thini, 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 thini, ta-thini, thini, ta-thini, 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 thini, ta-thini. Ta-thini, 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 thini, ta-thini, thini, ta-thini, 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 thini, ta-thini, 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 thini, thini, ta-thini, 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 thini, ta-thini, 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 thini, ta-thini, thini, ta-thini, 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 thini, thini, ta-thini, ta-thini, thini, ta-thini, thini, ta-thini, ta-thini, thini, ta-thini, ta. So we've got that. exactly the same. There's not really much to worry about. The D's and the D's are the same. So instead of just an open, you're just hitting the top here. The only difference is that instead of a Da, you just have a Ta. So Da, Ge, and Ta open. Here we just have the Ta. Dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dha-dhini, tathini, tathini, dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, tathini, dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, So chanting with this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, So, a little bit hard to chant to this one when you're just starting out. I haven't played this one in a long time. Just because it's got this little bit of offbeat feel here, and then you've got the dhadhini, so you're like, your bowl jatis are also a little bit askew there too. So it all makes it a little bit more difficult to perform. So you want to start slowly with chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare So this one, you want to practice slowly and getting these spaces and figuring out how this whole mantra works here. Dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, ta-thini, dha-dhini, dha-dhini, dhini, dha-dhini, So you want to be strong on that D as well. Dha-dhini, dha-dhini, dha-dhini. I like this mantra for slower kirtans as well. Dha-dhini, 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 dhini, dha-dhini, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare There, so I got that nicely phrased there. I haven't played a lot of these in ages, or I mean, this one I'm pretty sure I just wrote, so I don't think I've ever even played it really much. It's been sitting here, and we finally got to it, a year and a half later. So that's a really nice mantra. Definitely highly recommend learning it. Now we have this new style here. Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha. So this is really cool. Jha, and then you have De, 3 fingers. Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini. So this one's a little bit different. So we have Jha, and then 2 spaces, and then the De on the offbeat there. Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, tathini, dhini, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini. this is Jha. Jha, a, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha, nakadhini, Jha, nakadhini, dhadhini, dhadhini. So what's the bull jati there? Dhakdini, dhini, dhakdini, so same as the other one there. So we've got 3, 2, and 3. Right? Dhakdini, dhini, dhakdini, 3, 2, 3. Right? We've seen this many times. Dhakdini, dhini, dhakdini, dhakdini, dhini. 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Dhakdini, dhini, dhakdini. Right? 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Dhakdini, dhini, dhakdini. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, Alright, so you want to practice that. Then we've got the Jha-aDhe nakadhini Jha. So we got the Jha. So you can play the Jha with 4 fingers or 1 finger here, whatever you're comfortable with. Jha-aDhe nakadhini Jha-aDhe nakadhini Jha. Or you play Jha-aDhe nakadhini Jha-aDhe nakadhini Jha-aDhe nakadhini. So those 2 versions there. Then you have the lagu, ta, te nakathini ta. So it's just the ta there. Ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, ta. Open, nothing else happening there. Ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, nakthini, thini, nakthini, ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, te nakathini, nakthini, thini, nakthini, ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, ta. So here you got ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, tathini, thini, tathini, ta, te nakathini, te nakathini, ta, te nakathini, nakthini, thini. So that's the whole mantra there. So let's play it through. Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, dhinidhadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini, ninakthini, Ta-athe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, dhadhini, dhinidhadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini. Hare Krishna, So you can just play that as well. Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Jha. Let me see here. How does that work? Just want to make sure I'm doing that right. Jha-aDhe nakadhini. So it should be Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini, Ta-athe nakadhini. Yeah, so that's cool. So the shortened version would be Jha-aDhe nakadhini, Ta-athe Hare Hare Krishna, so that's really cool. Jha. So there we have Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Ta-athe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Ta-athe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Ta-athe, nakadhini, Jha-aDhe, nakadhini, Ta-athe, nakadhini, Jha. Very cool. So those are the two things that you can do with that particular mantra there. And then, yeah, so I just wanted to speak a little bit about Krishna consciousness as well, and playing mridanga and practicing mridanga. Particularly its use in Kirtan, and particularly its use in Harinam and Sankirtan on the streets. The thing is, it's very interesting because I was speaking to one devotee a while ago, and I remember having the realization, I was talking to him, that there's very few things in the world that where someone materialistically does something over and over again, generally they become better at it. Generally, they become quite expert at something. If a very simple person works a material job every day, usually that person is used to train someone else who hasn't done that job. That person is used because they've done it for a long time. And even though they might not be that intelligent or that skilled, they become proficient at what they do. They learn how to do something, to some standard that's set by the company. Other people then expected to come up to that standard. The interesting thing with bhakti is it's not a material thing. And so there's so many devotees that continue to do Harinam, continue to do Kirtan, continue to do so many different things, cooking, and they never seem to progress. Like you'll see a devotee after 10 or 20 years of doing Harinam, and they haven't learned how to play harmonium, they don't know any tunes, they can barely play the kartals, they haven't learned any mridanga. And you're thinking to yourself, how has someone spent most of their life doing something and not become proficient at least some aspects of it? Maybe they're proficient at a few things, but it's always perplexed me. And then I realized, and this might seem offensive to some people, but there's really no explanation for it other than that your bhakti dictates how much you're able to progress in your Krishna consciousness. And that means that you can practice mridanga and practice harmonium, practice your kirtan, practice cooking for Krishna, practice being, good at different things in your Krishna consciousness, dressing the deities, all these different things. But that is all based and resting on the level of your bhakti. So in a lot of ways you can see, so it says that, devotees are able to become expert at almost anything and should become expert at everything, essentially, as you progress to your Krishna consciousness. Why is that? Well, because the Paramatma is situated in the heart, and as you purify yourself and get rid of a lot of your karmas and baggage that actually keeps you in different lanes, you're able to transcend material nature, and you're able to see and experience so many more things and easily implement and access areas that your karma would not allow you to access before. Your intelligence also becomes sharpened. Your false ego drops off so that you're able to learn things. You're able to discuss things with people. You're able to accept knowledge. You're also able to accept knowledge from the Paramatma because you then turn your face towards the Paramatma. So when you see these devotees that are not clearly exhibiting these symptoms, it's very tough to understand, because from a material perspective, if you do something all the time, they should be expert at it, but they're not. Why? Because their bhakti is blocking them. They're not having an actual taste for Kirtan and Harinam. They're not having a taste for wanting to present this offering to Krishna in a palatable way. And when you're not really putting Krishna at the center of that, and your bhakti is not fully supporting it, people are not attracted. As you can see in Krishna consciousness, there's very few Western devotees. There's very few people that are not associated with ISKCON for purposes other than, being culturally involved per se, especially Indian-bodied people. So, Western people, there's these kirtan parties that are going out, they're doing kirtan for years and years and years, and they're not really attracting anyone. They're not making devotees. There's no invitation for them to come into a safe space that you've created, because that safe space doesn't exist. You're not actually out there for the correct reasons. You're not focusing every day on your sadhana and practicing your instruments and practicing your bhakti. And even if you don't know how to play the instruments, your bhakti will still come through them. And if you have real bhakti, then you will desire knowledge in order to obviously, perform kirtan properly for Krishna over time. Your desire, your ruchi, your taste grows and grows and grows. When the devotees are not showing any ruchi, then their ability to progress in Krishna consciousness is not there, because they don't really have a taste. What they have a taste for, they will have to answer that question of why they're out there. A lot of people are just doing Sankirtan at this point, if there is any happening, mostly just from a point of either nostalgia or, out of a very strong connection to Vaidhi Bhakti, where, this is what we've been told to do and we will do it, but they have no guidance and they're not willing to accept real knowledge in terms of growing and progressing their ruchi for that so that it can flourish and expand. And if you don't have taste really for the activity itself, then the people walking by are not going to be tasting anything either. So it has to start with you. And that ruchi for mridanga has to be there as well. And the point of this conversation is not to put these people down. The point is actually that I'm realizing sometimes as a devotee, you have to take a step back from these situations, from other devotees. It's not all about, you will die without devotee association. At a certain point, as Prabhupada states, you need to fly your own airplane. Flying your own airplane means that you no longer need or require devotee association for periods of time. You will require it in order to reach new levels of understanding. But seeking out and searching particular devotees that can actually help you in your bhakti is quite difficult. There's very few advanced devotees around, and those that are advanced more than likely are not at the forefront of movements and willing to necessarily share their knowledge easily or willingly, especially in Kali Yuga. So you have to pick and choose your associations very carefully and try to find those little pockets of knowledge when you can pull things out from people that will help you progress. But staying in those situations and staying stagnant and also not allowing yourself to flourish if the people around you are incapable of supporting you or supporting themselves or having a loving environment, then you can't place yourself in those situations. You need to become more of a Bhajana Nandi and try to make some progress on your own, try to make some realizations on your own. And to me, working on mridanga, spreading whatever knowledge I have of mridanga, giving my Gita classes and things like that now, are becoming like a pillar of who I am and what my bhakti is at the moment. Cooking for Krishna every day, watching my diet, working out, finding my health. All of these things are becoming pillars of what are progressing my bhakti forward. And actually associating in a lot of different situations with devotees only seems to inhibit that, especially when your ruchi is not able to necessarily spread amongst the devotees in order to create something that could be very beautiful here in Vancouver or anywhere in the world. So if you're feeling like that, don't give up your bhakti. Just realize that you're at a point in time where you're meant to be working more on yourself. You have other priorities. You have other things that you need to be doing. So don't always just focus on Vaidhi Bhakti. This is also Vaidhi, and you can become very regimented as well. But sometimes you have to change your program to suit, just as Prabhupada changed many people's programs as well to suit their needs. So I just wanted to discuss that in relation with Krishna consciousness and Mridanga, and having that real taste, and noticing that if you're not say practicing Mridanga and practicing your mantras and watching Mridanga videos or people playing Mridanga, and if you're not feeling a taste and a strong desire to access that more and more, and if it's not coming from your practice and you're being turned off from bhakti, or turned off from playing Mridanga, or turned off from Kirtan, or becoming envious of others or things like that, then find something else that is more fruitful for your bhakti. Not everyone is meant to play Mridanga. It's a very specific instrument that just has so much knowledge to it, and a lot of people might be put off by that. Playing harmonium is a much simpler instrument, very easy with the notes. You just push a button and it makes the sound. So there's so many different ways. Kartals as well. So many few people learn kartals. I'd love to start teaching kartals as well, because all of these different patterns you can follow on the kartals too, and I've learned so much, but I don't have any professional training in playing kartals. I don't know of anyone that could, but I have seen some people playing in Bengal that definitely have some great information. But maybe we can do a little bit of kartal training as well. But, just having that ruchi, having that desire to want to seek out that knowledge, find out whatever that is, doesn't have to be Mridanga, and become deeply attached to that thing and connect that to your bhakti, so that no matter what happens around you, you always have that as something that you're always feeling, that ruchi, that desire to learn and to grow. So until next class, Hare Krishna.